What's going on, everybody? Let's talk Jets radio. Quick video here talking 53-man roster. Jets announced their cuts a few hours ago. Not a whole lot of surprises, but definitely expect to see a move at tight end. Can't imagine the Jets going into the season with only two tight ends. Also glad to see that they kept three undrafted free agents on the defensive line. But just going position by position, starting with the quarterbacks, no surprises at all. Rodgers and Taylor, the only two that made it. Wouldn't surprise me to see Adrian Martinez come back on the practice squad, but didn't see any kind of need in occupying an extra roster spot with a third quarterback when you have plenty of other guys, plenty of other tough cuts that they ultimately had to make. And if it did come down to a third quarterback, like I said last night, you're probably making a trade and doing something to salvage the season. As far as the running back position, you got Izzy that made it as your fourth running back. Wasn't sure if they'd only keep three or four, but Izzy definitely turned it on in the final 2 weeks. So glad to see that he made it. The wide receiver position, they ultimately kept seven. But Irv Charles, he's pretty much more your special teams ace. Glad to see that Brownlee sticking around just to have some extra insurance behind Mike Williams, another big body that could stretch the field and go up and get those contested balls. The tight end position definitely worries me right now because you're essentially one Tyler Conklin injury away from almost complete disaster. I'm definitely high on Ruckert's upside, but he has yet to show it consistently that he's a starting caliber tight end in this league, and you ultimately play two tight ends quite a bit, and you essentially have no depth right now. So the release of Firkser definitely surprised me, considering they picked him up shortly after they released Bowden. Figured he would be that fullback tight end hybrid. Yeboah, he's going to start the year on IR, so at least they'll have him back after 4 weeks. But until then, I think they definitely have to pick up somebody. I know a few names that got released, but they definitely have to make a move for some kind of veteran there. Wouldn't surprise me if they did try to bring back Firkser on the practice squad if nobody picked him up. Offensive line, no surprises there with Newman making it as the 10th. He gives you a little versatility inside, outside. Glad that his injury isn't serious. And then Carter Warren and Max Mitchell both making it. No surprise when you got two tackles that are over 30 years old. Going to the defensive line, again, so cool that you got three undrafted free agents that all made it, as well as Takk McKinley, former first-round pick. But Taylor had a great summer. So did McGregor. He really came on strong in the last few weeks. And then Watts has been probably the most consistent, I think, the entire summer. Also offers you a lot of versatility playing inside, outside. The only problem, of course, is that once you get Fodu back, because he's going to start the year on IR, he's going to miss the first 4 weeks. And then ultimately, if Haason Reddick ultimately shows up, that's going to push at least two of these guys out. I would assume that McGregor is probably going to be one of them, just because with Reddick and Jermaine Johnson as your starting edges, you got McDonald, who's going to be your third down rusher. They've been working Clemens strictly on the edge the entire summer. They had him put on weight. They want him to be the early down guy there. So he's probably going to see some reps there. And then McKinley's strictly off the edge as well. So you have essentially five guys that I think would be in front of McGregor. So I'm not really sure if he would ultimately stick around or if they would want to just kind of stash him away and make sure that they don't expose him for other teams to claim, if maybe they feel they could sneak Watts onto the practice squad. But even still, they're still going to have to get rid of two, and I think Taylor might be a little bit too valuable along the interior. Tough to see Tanzel Smart not make it. Same thing with Jalen Holmes. Definitely hope they find a home on somebody's roster. Linebackers, Barnes and Surratt, no surprise that they both made it. Two guys that are very athletic, had strong summers. The secondary, glad to see that Bernard Converse, his injury is not serious. Same thing with Isaiah Oliver. Both guys very versatile, could play cornerback and safety, provides you a little bit of extra depth there. Very surprised to see the trade with Codrington, especially to the Bills, just to move up from round 7 to round 6 in 2016. Almost would have preferred if they just put him on waivers and hopefully a team in the NFC would have claimed him rather than worry about him coming back to bite us later in the year. Then special teams, Erline, Morstead, Thomas Hennessy. You would assume that Gibson, Corley, and Zay Davis, those are probably your three primary returners, with Codrington now traded, but no major surprises. Definitely expect to see a move at tight end tomorrow, as well as potentially some other things. We'll see what happens with Haason Reddick. That's ultimately, again, gonna push somebody else out. But yeah, roster looks good. I'm excited for the season, less than 2 weeks away, so talk to you guys later.